Good evening and welcome to another exciting Monday night. I am super excited to have our guest here on the show, Melanie. And I want to thank all of our viewers for tuning in, I guess is the proper word to say. And Melanie, it's just been a pleasure getting to know you over the last couple days and just really want to thank you for deciding to just jump in right with me. It's funny because Melody showed up on last week's episode with Andrea, and all of a sudden, I said, "Why don't you come on?" And so here she is. So with that, Melody, welcome to the show.
Thank you. And thank you for doing this because you reach people when you put somebody on to help spread their light. And that's what it's all about, helping each other. We're all in this together.
Absolutely. Sorry, it looks like they're having some technical difficulties on LinkedIn. Something just popped up that I have never seen before in my life. So hopefully LinkedIn is
Uh-oh.
hopefully it's streaming to LinkedIn. Um okay. Continue to LinkedIn. Sorry.
That's
So
okay.
Melanie, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. The first thing I will tell, which I usually do when I do a video, is that I have had a pancake pile of traumas that ended up with having anxiety and PTSD. But it doesn't have me anymore. I have gotten out of that. I'm not just a survivor anymore. I'm a thriver. And the things I've learned through it and the bricks I've learned of how to help myself out of it, because when this pandemic started, boy, I was in the dark tunnel with everybody else. It was scary. Um, I was grounded. My adult kids were like, "You're not leaving the house," because I am high risk. And not being able to leave the house, not being able to do anything that I was used to doing was scary. It was scary for everybody. And not just in this country, but all over the world, people were feeling it. People were feeling the fear.
Mm-hmm.
And fear can take you over. It is a big monster in front of your face that's all you can see. But then when
I Oh, sorry. Yeah, I totally agree with you on that for sure.
but when that's all you see, then you don't get to see any of the good stuff. And there's plenty of the good stuff. And for me, it kind of changed when I was doing the dishes, and I have a playlist of songs, and I was playing You Say from Lauren Daigle.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of became my stronger connection with God because how inadequate I was feeling. The song was saying, it's okay that I feel that way, but I'm going to listen to what you're saying, that I'm enough, that I'm loved. And it got me into asking him questions. And in the morning, and I have made this a habit at this point, every morning before my feet hit the floor, unless something happened, somebody knocks something over in the house,
Mm-hmm.
unless I get hurried up out of bed, when I wake up, I thank God for the gift of a new day because tomorrow's never promised. And we all know that the hard way.
Yep.
Tomorrow is literally never promised. So this could be your last day. So I thank him for the gift of a new day. And then I ask him 3 questions. What do you want me to see today? What do you want me to hear today? And how can I serve? And I watch. I go through the day thinking, wow, there's a synchronicity. That's pretty cool. And they're things that I would have missed if I was still living in the fear. So now instead of thinking, I used to think if it wasn't for bad luck, I wouldn't have any luck at all. And I
My
felt
dad
like
used
the
to sing
jinx.
that. Quite honestly, he would sing it. He'd make a song out of it and sing it.
I can believe it. That's how I felt. That's how I felt through most of my life.
Yeah.
But now when you open up that path of being able to say, okay, there could be other possibilities. Maybe it's not just all bad. So show me the possibilities. Show me what it is you want me to see today. And I'll give you one particular I'm into Reiki healing. I actually got my certificate today for having the second class I graduated from, and I'm going for my Reiki masters. Well, I do my morning Reiki with meditation and God and grounding. And that morning in particular, I didn't do it that morning. I didn't get a chance to. And I knew I had secretarial work to do that day. So it was like, get the kids to the bus, get your work done. So I was doing that, and it wasn't creative work, it was work.
Mm-hmm.
So I was doing that, and I got that done after some aggravating technical difficulties. And then my granddaughter asked me if I could get the kids off the bus. And normally she did. And I had started writing a creative article. And I was kind of aggravated that she asked me to. But that morning, I had also gotten an email that said, hey, you haven't been getting our newsletters. You want to check it out. And that had to do with colors, because colors are healing too.
Mm-hmm.
And I opened it up because it was in my promotions tab. I opened it up and it was red. Well, red is the root chakra. It's grounding. Well, grounding is what meditation does. But that day was heart chakra, which is green. But my phone said 1111. So I knew to pay attention. Didn't know what it meant.
Mm-hmm.
So I go to the bus stop and it's raining out and there's a puddle there, and the raindrops hitting it are creating these little ripples, and a pattern of ripples that were so beautiful. And then I look up and all the greenery is extra green because it's wet. And I was like, if this isn't grounding, nothing is. This is why you were supposed to stop and go to the bus stop, because you didn't do any grounding this morning, but you need it. So if
Wow.
we keep our mind open to seeing it, even if I didn't think that email was going to make a difference in my day, and I didn't think going to the bus stop was something I wanted to do.
Right.
But if we keep our mind open to what it is we're supposed to see, what it is we're supposed to hear, and how we can serve, like being able to talk about this synchronicity,
Exactly.
that's what we need in our days. And they can be in every single day. I have found them to be in every single day. And your last show with Andrea on it, you asking me, are you free next Monday? That you said was not something you do.
Not ever.
And I opened my planner. There was nothing there well, 6 o'clock there was, but not at 7. So I
Right.
was like, from the looks of it, the universe is saying do it. So here I am.
That is, there's a lot in what you said. Fear is definitely, I'll go back to the beginning of what you were saying, fear can take you out if you let it. And especially if you are going through a lot of different challenges at the time, and then then the enemy is whispering in your ear, well, you can't do it, and just whispering those words of not encouragement. But and just if you allowed yourself to get into that and have that take root. And I keep reading that kills more dreams than
Yes.
than anything else. And that is so true. If I would not have allowed different things in my life to happen, then I probably would have been a lot further ahead than I am now. But then I wouldn't be the person that I am today.
And you
So
learn stuff in that.
exactly. Exactly. And I love what you said: hear, see, and serve. I love that, and I had a coach one time tell me, you know, exactly the same thing in the morning. What do you want me to do? Who do you want me to be? Uh, and she would literally go for a walk, and she would literally ask God left or right, and she would go however she thought she heard. That's what she did. And I was like, could you imagine having 100% complete obedience like that? That was just like radically wild. And so I tried it.
And
Me,
the
who is a control freak,
and the places
decided
it can lead are amazing.
I went a completely different route than what I normally would have for my walk. Now, I ended up talking to a gentleman on the way. He was my husband and I had just moved into here, so I was just trying to get into the area. So I usually was taking one way, but then I just happened to go a different way, and I would meet different people, and it was absolutely wild what had happened. And just allowing yourself to be open to that. I just love that. Um, there was and Dr. Wayne Dyer has ever since I read his spiritual, I think it's spiritual healing book or something. Anyway,
Okay.
it's been a while since I read it. He says, "Be open to everything and attached to nothing." So if I see myself getting really worked up or really attached to something that I know I don't have the control over or the outcome of, in my mind is my mantra: be open to everything and attached to nothing. And I love that. You know, you never have. Could you imagine if we said yes to everything that came our way? I was just thinking about this. I remember seeing, I don't know if it was on a movie. I think it was on a movie, and it was like a comedy. And she was dared by her friend to, no matter what anybody threw at her, she had to say yes to it. And she was uptight, and she was a bit of a control freak in the movie. I forget what movie it was. And so for her to just let go and to allow people to do or speak into her life, it was just like, wow. But I'm like, could you imagine if we just did that?
Yep. If we were just kind all day long, can you imagine? Like if you saw somebody and just complimented them on their hair, or you said thank you to the people that did things for you that you normally don't even notice them. Cashiers, they are
Yeah.
standing on their feet all day to serve the public.
Yeah.
And half of the people that they serve don't even notice them, won't remember what they looked like, or didn't even notice what they sounded like. And
Yeah.
they spend all day doing that.
Yeah.
So I make a point when I go to the store, I will always thank my cashiers for doing the job they're doing, because if they didn't do what they're doing, I couldn't do what I do getting the groceries.
Right.
So I thank them for taking, number one, taking the risk, because they have been proven to be our essential workers. Because
Hmm.
without them, you're not shopping. Without them, you can't buy that food. Somebody has to be there to sell it for you.
Yeah.
So,
That is so true. And I used to work here in Canada. We have what's called one of the grocery stores is called Superstore, and it's owned by Loblaws. And it's one of the higher ends. You have No Frills, which is owned by Loblaws too, but No Frills basically is just, I don't know. They don't have like the high end groceries and things like that. And then you have the Superstore, which has
yeah,
more of your PC products and
okay.
things like that. So it's more of a higher end grocery store. So I used to work there, and the people that I would get in my line, I was a cashier, and some people would be so ignorant. And I remember one of my coworkers actually got spit on, and
Ouch.
I'm like, if somebody ever decided to spit on me, that would be the last day on that job. Because I'm telling you, I'm not putting up with that. And I mean, people have bad days, but there is absolutely no reason to spit on somebody, especially somebody who's making minimum
Right.
wage in a grocery store. Uh, it's just
See,
unbelievable how some people.
we can even change that by saying, "Wow, you must really be having a hard day. I'm sorry." Try to empathize,
Mm-hmm.
with the grouchy ones, because some days we're grouchy.
Mm-hmm.
And if just one person looked at you and understood that you
Yeah.
were having a bad day, that would
Yeah.
change it. You wouldn't, if everybody did that, if we looked out for people that needed
Mm-hmm.
that I see you, I understand,
Yeah.
and other people to us did the same thing back, can
Yeah.
you imagine how our days would be? I just
Oh,
wrote an article about that in particular because that's what I want to show people. We are all in this together.
mm-hmm.
We are. No matter what, you're connected. You're not just
Yeah.
connected to other people, even through people you don't know. We say, wow, it's really a small world because we run into people who know people we know that you wouldn't think they'd know.
Right.
So the saying is there for a reason. But
Mm-hmm.
we're also connected to Mother Nature. We're connected to the earth. And we have to feel that because when we're not feeling good, we get prescriptions for physical health, we get prescriptions for mental health. We don't handle the spiritual health. And our
Mm-hmm.
lives are so busy that we don't even sometimes take the a minute to even acknowledge God or your
Yeah.
higher power. For me, it's God.
Me too. Yeah.
But if we connected, we would lower that stress. So your spiritualness, your spiritual health is balanced between your mental health and your physical health. All
Yeah.
three are connected. And if you leave out one, the others suffer.
Yeah.
Our mental health is literally biologically affected by the chemicals we produce in our brain when we're
Yeah.
stressed out. And if we can take that spiritual connection and reduce that negative hormones that we're giving off from stress,
Mm-hmm.
we help both our body because heart attacks are caused by stress too. A lot of health conditions are.
Yeah.
So we're affecting the physical health, the mental health by connecting with our spiritual health.
Yeah.
Everything's connected. And if we start to be open to that, then we're not just survivors and we're not staying in just the trauma. My
Mm-hmm.
traumas, my pancake pile of traumas, that's not what they are anymore. They are literally powerful events that have happened because I sat in those situations, in those traumas. I got to see from the inside. And when you see from the inside, you're able to help the people that are in the dark there that haven't gotten out of it yet.
Yeah.
That's where the light is. Support groups are based on that.
Yeah.
Support groups are the people who have actually gone through it to be able to help you, to support you, to find the light to get out of it. And that's how we're all connected.
Yeah.
So I connect to people that have anxiety and PTSD because I've been there. I've been sitting in that. And guess what? You don't have to stay in it. You don't. You get through it because we do get through it. That's how we become survivors.
Yep.
We survived that. Okay. Now that we've survived it and got to the other side, what did we see in it that somebody who hasn't been there can't possibly understand?
Exactly. Exactly. And I think that's why we all go through different things is to help other people go through their situations.
Yes.
Uh, you know, that is totally true. And I love what you said about support groups because it wasn't even a month after my dad passed away. I was immediately on Facebook saying, "Hey, anybody that is a cancer survivor, um, has are still in the battle, or a family member of somebody who lost somebody, I'll start a support group if there's interest." So I had like 10 people, yes, 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 sign me up. And it's powerful just to be there, just to know that, the whole reason and the whole premise of why I wrote the book, why I started the show, is because I wanted people to know that they were not alone in their traumas or in their situations. Sorry, I've got a massive Charlie horse in my leg right now, but and
Ouch.
it's like, get away. Anyways, so and that's why I decided to speak out and give other people the opportunity, because I know what it's like to be bullied. I know what it's like to have low self esteem. I know what it's like to have somebody die of suicide. I know what it's like to watch your father die of in a horrific way due to cancer. I know what it's like to see your mother have open heart surgery. I know what it's like to be with parents that have had heart stroke and diabetes issues
Right.
my entire life. So, or what feels like my entire life. And so, it's just, by speaking it out, and especially with mental illness, like today I was a friend of mine is doing a talk, and I looked up what she gave me the U.S. statistics for mental health. So I looked at the Canadian statistics. 1 in 5 people will be touched by mental illness, and by the time, especially by the time they reach 40, and 50% of the people that by the time you get to 40 years old here in Canada will have either already experienced mental illness or will have it. That is huge.
Yeah.
That is
It's time
huge.
to break the stigma. It's time to help each other out of it,
Yeah.
because having PTSD or having anxiety does not mean you have to stay in it. And a lot of people stay in it, especially once they've been labeled PTSD or anxiety or whatever the label is.
Yeah.
And yeah, when we are labeled that, okay, great. Now what do we do about it? But
Yeah.
instead we focus on, I have that fear, I have that fear, I have that fear. And the fear stands with you and it overshadows you. And then
Yeah.
it becomes in front of you. You don't see anything else.
Nope.
The voices that we listen to are the things that help us out of it. So if we stop listening to heartbreak songs, when you have a heartbreak, yes, they comfort you because you can relate to them. But if 2 years down the road, you are still listening and relating to that song from that lost relationship, it's not helping you move on and heal. You're staying in that wound.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized that. So I didn't take them off my playlist. I didn't have that kind of a full force step. Instead, I made a second one. I made one called Determination, and I put inspirational music on it. I put motivational music on it, literally from YouTube, Never Give Up, featuring
Mm-hmm.
Coach Payne. I listen to that every morning because it is powerful. And one
Mm-hmm.
of the quotes in it that has meant so much to me: ladies and gentlemen, the reason that you are existing in this world today is because you have things that must be done, and only certain people are qualified to take it to the level that it needs to be taken to. There should never be a limitation. And there shouldn't be, because we've been able to sit in those traumas. That means we have what it takes to get out of it and to
Mm-hmm.
show others how to get out of it. So everything we go through, everything that's a struggle for us, is something other people need us to help them get out of.
Yeah.
Because we've all gone through something. We all know what it's like to go through something. So instead of staying in that or just feeling like, okay, I made it, I'm a survivor, I got through it, I got through it. But that's all you keep saying. I got through it. No, go further. Take it, run with it. take the strength out of it. I got through it, and I can help others get through it. I can help them do the same thing. I can help them wake up in the morning and look forward to what's going to come today, because we don't have to go what's going to come today. We can literally look for the good stuff, because even though we're going to have those days, we're going to have those challenges, but the strength we get out of seeing the good stuff, out of focusing on the good stuff, helps us with the strength to get through the bad stuff. Because then we're looking in it. What do I see in this I can help somebody else with? And there's a quote that I started sharing the beginning of the pandemic, when I finally got myself together. Because the first couple of months I was a basket case. This quote, I saw it and I was like, I'm going to use that. I put it on my whiteboard and I never took it off. And at that point, I was putting different ones. And it's, other people are going to find healing in your wounds. Your greatest life messages and your most effective ministry will come out of your deepest hurts. And it's from Rick Warren. I shared it over and over. I kept it on my board. I had no idea who Rick Warren was. None. But this year was 20 years from my husband's suicide.
Wow.
It was one of those powerful events. And on that day, Joyce Meyer's ministry, I listened to her daily talk, and she had a speaker on it, and it was his wife. Rick Warren was a pastor, is a pastor, and they lost a son to suicide who was bipolar, which is what my husband was, which is what happened to my husband. And to see that link on the 20th anniversary, when I was reflecting on the 20th anniversary, was one of those synchronicities that I was supposed to see. So, you know, quotes, if you find, look for quotes, look for things that are said that speak to your soul. Because your spiritual health is your soul's health. Don't just look at your mental health and your mind and your body. Look at your soul, look at your spirit, because we need that health too.
Yeah.
So the things you listen to, the books you read, the shows you watch. I watch Andy Stanley's Your Move, because that stuff is awesome. I take out my notebook. I take notes. I learn things from him. I learn things from Joyce Meyers. I learn things from Brene Brown. I learn things from Simon Sinek. I follow these people. I listen to their voices, because that's who I want by my side when I keep moving forward. Those are the people I want to listen to, because you know what? It changes that voice in your head. That voice in your head doesn't stay that critical witch who tells you those rotten things, because she was there full force for me before, full force. She doesn't now. She's my helpful critic now. She'll say, okay, that was a mistake. What'd you learn from it?
Right.
And that's what we need. That's what we need, that ego critic to say to us. Not the rotten stuff, because that doesn't come from our soul. That comes from voices we heard growing up, or other people who say rotten things to us.
Yeah. And that's why it's so important that to get inner healing from those triggers that, you know, you've had in the past. You know, it's good to well, for 10 years after I left my ex boyfriend, when I was in that abusive relationship, I would constantly work on myself, work on the hurt that I was feeling, work on the depression I was in, work on me, like, because I had felt the lowest that I've ever been in my life at that point, because he made me feel like
Been
the
there.
worst thing ever. And but getting to the root of those, and some of those things that I was triggered by didn't even really come from him. It came from, way back in childhood, and things that had happened back then.
Yeah.
And but healing is like an onion. Each layer you peel off,
Yes.
you get closer and closer to the truth. And a lot of people just don't, like you said, would rather stay in the shit instead of getting healed, and instead of looking at, how can I get healed from that and delivered from those evil messages that you had believed for years,
Right.
and get moved past that. And there's so many different ways. Like for me, I know, see, Dr. Christie agrees. Healing is a huge. I mean, and I did some theophostic prayer ministry back when 10, 12 years ago. And that was, really digging into when the first time you heard that lie, um, putting the truth to that lie, and,
Yep.
and healing it. And that is exactly what people need, but people would rather just stay miserable
No, it's not
sometimes.
that they'd rather stay miserable. It's the fear is so far in front of them and the trauma is so much in front of them. They can't
Hmm.
see through it to see
Sure.
that there's more. But there's
Yeah.
tools that we have.
Hmm.
We have counseling, we have tapping, we have um, TRP, we have Reiki healing. I belong to Beacons of Change, and that has been an incredible journey for me. We have different support groups. There are so many different things out there, and the the more you look, the more branches of it you find, because
Hmm.
life becomes more than just 3D. It moves up. There are different things. Reiki healing, there is crystal healing, there is things other people would say you're nuts. But if you start looking, you'll find the things that resonate with your soul.
Hmm.
And then instead of saying that's wacky or yeah, no, you say, oh, that's kind of cool, because there are different tools. And what works for one person doesn't always work for another.
Hmm.
But if you find the different tools, sometimes you can find a blend of them that work together,
Yeah.
with crystals, with colors, with music. Do you know that you can look up on YouTube different healing hertz frequencies? There's one that I just found recently that is now in my list. I listen to it. I go to sleep at night with it. Along with there's a clubhouse one that Iman does, and his is like flute, piano, guitar, that type of music, and
Hmm.
it's so soothing to the soul. But this one that I found is called Mysterious Fantasy Music, Peaceful Harp and Flute Music with Birds Singing, and it just feels so grounding. And the views on it are just magnificent. There is ones on there that are 528 frequencies, four, 430 something. Like different ones affect different parts of your body.
Hmm.
They can literally heal your physical body. And there's actually scientific studies on this. There are studies on herbs that help heal you.
Yeah.
I take neem supplements, and if I could shout it from the rooftops, I would. I have a rare autoimmune disease, and infection was my biggest problem. Constantly, always on antibiotics, always in pain.
Oops. I'm sure Melody would come back. Maybe her phone. Maybe her phone needs charging. Anyways, Dr. Chrissy agrees. Yes, that the different healings that are out there. Um, I actually just got introduced. Uh, friends of Dr. Chrissy and I just got introduced. I just got introduced to that with the different frequencies. I haven't done a whole lot with that. I like tapping into my music. For me, music definitely it keeps me grounded and brings me back. And Melanie has said a lot of key important points tonight. Um, definitely get past what is keeping you stuck. Don't let the fear overtake you, because fear is a liar. And definitely, some people allow the fear to be so big that they can't see past it, like Melanie said. And for a long time, that's how I was. And I think we might be getting Melanie back.
Yeah.
You're there, except for the video. Are you there, Melanie? Oh, there we go.
So sorry about that. I had a call come in and it kicked me right off.
That's okay. Dr. Christie says there are so many powerful energetic modalities to impact you on a positive level. So true. So true.
Definitely.
So true.
There's music, there's motivational speakers, TED Talks, songs, just plain songs. Lauren Daigle, different songs you can listen to. Different colors go with chakras. If you look up chakras, they are energy sources in your body.
Mm-hmm.
Like the more you look for, the more things you find. Qigong, Lee Holden does a great source of Qigong. You can find that on YouTube's as well. Mm-hmm. They're like a blend of yoga and energy healing. They're like a magical blend together of them. And when we add those things to our lives, then the fear starts moving sideways. It's not sitting in front of your face where you can't see anything anymore.
Yeah.
But we have to take that step, one step to say, what can I see today? What can I hear today? And just keep your options open. Just think, okay, I have an open mind. I don't agree with this. I don't think it's going to work because I got a lot going on, but I'll be open to it. Show me something. And just that little bit, just that little sliver. And if you take 1 week and just try that, at the end of the week, you'll probably say, that might have helped a little. And then the more you do, the more you see, the more you learn. Always be hungry to learn something new.
Exactly. And a lot of the different things that I've been doing is definitely visualization. Hey, Emily, nice to see you. Blake Grams. Hi, Blake.
That's my grandson. Hi, Blake.
Oh, okay. Awesome. And sorry, forget what I was saying. Sorry. I was distracted by the Grams because I wasn't sure who he was. Well, that's cool that your grandson joined us.
Yes.
Totally cool.
He and I both love crystals. And it's pretty cool. We talk about it a lot. He's 10. And my daughter, Lindsay, brought us to Howe Caverns in New York. Mm-hmm. It's a crystal cavern that's literally under the ground. You take an elevator down and you get to see inside the cavern. And there's even a river inside it. Wow. And it's just, you can feel the energy in it. And it's a crystal cavern. Really, really super cool. We had a great time.
Hey, Lindsay, welcome. That would be cool. That would definitely be cool to see that.
It's an experience. But that's what I mean. Always be open to learning something new, to seeing something new, and you never know what'll resonate with you. Because for some people, maybe crystals isn't their thing. But maybe those motivational videos, ooh, I found a couple I really love. And then start watching them.
Yeah. Emily thinks that sounds awesome too. So it does. Yeah, and you're right. What works for one doesn't work for another. So don't stop until you find something that brings your joy back. Exactly. Definitely. because that's where it's at. Trying to find, um, I'm being intentional on trying to keep every thought captive. So if something comes into my mind, I'm like, well, that's not serving me and that's not going to get me closer to my goal. So then I'll let it go.
Yep.
And I'm being more intentional. And that's what I was, I'm listening to the same book
Intentional.
over and over, and over and over and over again. And it's Ask, and it is given by Jerry and Esther Hicks. I've almost through it my second time within the last. I read it last week, or listened to it last week, listening to it this week, and I need to get the actual physical book because there's some exercises in there I really want to do, and Jerry talks so quickly, or Abraham talks so quickly, that I can't write it fast enough as I'm listening to it at work, and but definitely a lot of great strategies in that, and even though it doesn't work the first time, be open to listening to it a second time and the
Right.
third time, right? Um, just like The Secret Millionaire, I think it was. Is it Secret? Yeah. Because I used to listen to that monthly as well.
Oh,
Just
wow.
being open, and
Yeah.
because it takes 7 times for you to hear something, or it, you can only say no 7 times to something before you actually do it, is what I've heard more than once. And I'm like, okay, so if I tried that with my dad at one point for something, and I forget what it was, and it actually worked. But you're that's why kids are so persistent. Have you ever met a kid, well, especially my stepson, he is persistent. When he wants something, he'll keep
Oh, yeah.
going after it and after it and after it, and finally you just say yes because you just don't want to listen to it anymore. Or maybe I'm just a bad parent. Anyways, of course it's
I
not
think we've
it's
all done that at one point or another.
yes, as a sales position, it said 7 touches. See, so that's exactly. I would never say yes to something that's going to harm him,
Right.
but it's just
Right.
it's in your face. And today, like, I've listened to the same thing over and over and over again. I have friends whom I love dearly, and one of them's on here tonight, and it's like they constantly tell me every Saturday morning, just be. Well,
Yep.
what the hell does that mean? Just be. So today, after listening to it probably like the seventh or eighth time, just be meant you've already asked for it. The universe and God is willing to give it to you. So if you sit in meditation for 15 minutes a day and just be still,
Yep.
it will come to you.
Yep.
And I'm like, why didn't you just tell me that before instead of say just be? I'm I'm very simple minded. Sorry, I got something going on with my hair, and there we go. I'm very simple minded. So if you tell me how to do it, I'll do it. But I want to know why.
Right.
Tell me why and why it works, and I will do it. So
Well,
today
yeah.
it clicked,
Yep. See,
and your
you
your
only
grandson
hear that
agrees.
little bit because you need to have the faith, and
Yes.
then you figure out the why when you're ready for it.
Right. Well, and like I said today, I did a quick live on my lunch break today saying, hey, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And today it was
Yes.
like a giant light bulb went off in my head when I heard
Yes.
that for like the seventh, eighth time of my life. Just be. And it's me. You don't have to, you've already asked for it, because God says, ask and it is given to you. But you're so trapped in the how am I going to get it?
Yep.
What's the steps that I have to do? What's this? And you're not trusting. You're just
Right.
trying to figure your shit out when you should just leave the shit alone and let God take care of it.
Do your very best and let God take care of the rest.
Exactly.
Simple as that. And be
Exactly.
kind.
Exactly. Be kind. Okay, so another thing. Uh it's past 7 here my time, but that's okay. There was a plea put out. I'm saying 7 o'clock because there was a plea put out that needed to happen in my hometown by 7 o'clock tonight. So this morning there was a big 911 SOS put out by our where I live in Windsor, Ontario. This pandemic has pretty much wiped out a lot of small businesses, and our homelessness rate has doubled.
Wow.
And one of the small business owners they own a restaurant, and above the restaurant is where they live. So this guy also 5% of his sales go to the downtown mission. So the downtown mission helps our homelessness. So the people that own this restaurant are like I've talked to them briefly through Messenger and stuff like that, and how can we help you? Can we support
Right.
you? And he put this giant SOS out, and it's Generation Steiner people on 1990 Ottawa Street here in Windsor, Ontario, and they needed to make rent today by 7 o'clock. If they did not make rent by 7 o'clock tonight, not only would he lose his business, he would be homeless.
Oh no.
So he said, please, and here in Canada, if you're not double vaccinated, you're not allowed to eat inside of the restaurant. So he had said that he was putting no restrictions. There are some people out there that are willing to do that, and I applaud them. The discriminatory stuff that's going around in our town, I'm in all the surrounding towns that are going with it, there is a huge segregation between the vaxxed and the non-vaxxed, and it's quite sick, really. And so a lot of people were not going to support him because he said, I don't care, anybody is welcome in. And the town came together. I'm pretty sure I was looking for updates on Facebook before we came in tonight, and someone said, way to go, Windsor, you came together. Now, I tried to order online. I tried to order, even though I had food in the fridge that I had put aside that would have went with my meal plan. My husband saw that I reshared the post that a girlfriend of mine had shared. And he says, so does that mean we're eating out for dinner tonight? I'm like, well, I said, I would like to support any way that I can, but I tried to order online and I couldn't get it on there. Tried to call, couldn't. It's because of the overwhelming response that they were swamped. So I'm praying to God that by 7 o'clock tonight they made it, that they were able to get their rent. And if they're still open tomorrow, I'll see if my husband wants to order from them tomorrow, because I tried to tonight, but couldn't get through. And then I had to hurry up and do something because I had to hop on the show for tonight.
Right.
So, but that's when the power of prayer and community come together. Yes. So you had said several times tonight, be kind. I totally believe that. I mean, I had because of the homelessness, I'm friends with a bunch of different people and different associations here in Windsor for the homelessness. And I hooked up with another friend of mine, and she's always constantly, hey, do you have men's coats? Do you have men's shoes? Do you have this? Do you have that? And I said, Leslie, when I go to clean up my dad's stuff, I'm making sure that you have first crack at it before I go to anywhere else. That's cool. So she's putting all these SOSs out, and I'm like, okay, never mind. I'm just going to go to Chatham. I'm going to get my dad's stuff, and I'll come and bring it back. So out of that, we took it to another location. She has like 4 or 5 places that she brings stuff to. And so she said, follow me. And she goes, I'll go with you, because if I've never experienced it before, it could look scary. So I thought, okay, me, who is experienced pretty much everything, I said, and it's something that I've always wanted to do. Leslie will make food and go out onto the street and feed 300 people or more per night.
Wow.
So I'm like, okay, I want to do that, but I'm really not sure, because I'm very empathetic, if my psyche can handle this. So we went over there, we dropped off everything, and we seen everybody in the parking lot. And I'm just like, if back when I lived in Chatham, every month I would bring my nephews and we would help out at the soup kitchen. It was one Saturday per month. We would feed breakfast to the homeless. And I made sure the first couple times, like my nephews were between me and another person, because it's daunting. Like they get everything that they've ever asked for. So they had never seen the other side, on how life could be. So, and it's funny because my one nephew says, hey, Auntie, do you go to the soup kitchen anymore and help out? I'm like, well, I haven't done that since I left town. I left Chatham to move to Windsor to be with my husband. And, but so my aunt told him about another soup kitchen that he could help out with in their area, because he lives an hour away. Well, 35 minutes away from me now. So it's just it brought back, like, why did you quit volunteering for this, so I definitely want to get back on the streets. I want to help more people, and one of the ways was to and that was one of my lunch topics was, at the end of the day, the only thing you have left is just stuff, so give it away. And there are several men now out on the streets that are out there wearing my dad's clothes. But it's, to me, if you can't get past what's in front of you and your fear and your frustrations, seek something that's bigger than you.
Yes.
Go volunteer somewhere.
Yes.
Go help somebody else out. And it takes away from everything here. Sorry, I got to get back into these comments. I just went off on a tangent. Oops. We were there already. So true. Do what I can with what I have daily, and don't worry about how. Yes, exactly. If you think of the end goal all the time, sometimes you can get stuck in that.
Yes.
It might frighten you a little bit.
Not to mention the end goal can change.
Well, exactly.
Because my end goal before is nowhere near what it is now.
Exactly. Emily, I hope they made it too. I will find out, and I will post it in the comments when I find out. I'm hoping I'm pretty sure they made it. I mean, for hours we couldn't get through to them. So
that's pretty cool, because that means they had a lot.
That means that they had a lot of people and a lot of support. Hey, Gabe, thanks for showing up. Suits, etc. We took them to a shelter. Exactly. And like, I kept a couple of my dad's sweaters, especially the old beat up ones that he used to just sit around and be comfortable in. But I mean, to help somebody else is to me why I do everything that I do.
Yep. And I'm sure he's proud of you.
I'm sure he is. I'm sure he is. I would love to have one more conversation with him to really find out. But yes.
I hear you. I would love to have one more with my father too.
Yeah. It will come.
Oh, yeah.
Before COVID, it used to have family volunteer at the local community shelter here in Dallas, the Life Foundation and the Austin Street Shelter. I still donate, but don't volunteer because of the pandemic. It's yes. And I get that. And people, you got to be comfortable where you're at. I totally agree. That's right. Don't ever doubt it. That's right. I was talking to the same friend that, I was giving this stuff away to, and there is a huge drug problem also in our area, and it has finally affected her because she's like seeing the same people overdosing, and it's heartbreaking to watch. But at the end of the day, that's someone's child. So you're going to do everything you can. And if it wasn't for the fact that she had Narcan kits in her vehicle the other day, those people would have died.
Right.
And I mean, that's eye-opening. And this is right. Like, this is literally 10 blocks from where I live. I'm just like, that's the freaky part.
Yeah.
And people don't know what they don't know. And some people don't, that you don't go looking necessarily to find out what's in your community, the bad stuff about it. But it's there.
The suffering. The suffering's there.
The suffering is there. And I mean, I know this is not just my town. I'm not small-minded enough to know that that's just here in Windsor. I mean, that's everywhere. It is everywhere. Because when I lived in Chatham, it was on there too. Guys would pick drugs up on the street and stuff like that. And people that you didn't even think were addicts were totally addicts. And, someone say, hey, did you hear about so-and-so?
Yeah, it's a wound.
Exactly. And it's like they do it to numb out. And especially right now with the pandemic, because the suicide rates, at least here, have doubled or tripled because because we've been locked down for so long.
Yeah. People are at the end of their ropes. Exactly. All they see is the bad. They don't see any of the good.
Exactly. And anyways,
It's hard when you're in the dark like that. It's really hard.
yeah. And that's why we're bringing the light, Melody. We're
Yes.
bringing the light
Yes.
to this dark world. I just want to thank. I can't believe it's almost time here. I just want to thank everybody. For hopping in on the show. Sorry, we had at the beginning some technical difficulties with LinkedIn, but we're back
And
up and
sorry I
running.
dropped out.
That's okay. That's what live show's all about. You never know what's going to happen, and that's the beauty of it.
And as
It keeps
Brene
flowing.
Brown says, vulnerability is showing up, being seen when there are no guarantees.
Exactly.
And we got in the ring. She talks about that a lot.
That's one person I haven't had the pleasure of.
Oh, you got to check her out.
Yeah,
Brene Brown. Yeah.
I've heard of her. I follow her on LinkedIn, but I have not listened or dug into any of her stuff yet. I'm so busy. Like everybody's just like, "Hey, you got to listen to this. Hey, you got to listen to
Right.
this. Hey,"
Right.
So I mean, my
You only
playlist
have
on
so much time in a day. I get it.
yeah. I wish some days that I didn't have to sleep because I could get so much more accomplished. But then that would not be taking care of my spiritual and my self-care stuff. So,
Right. To reset time.
that's right. You need that balance and that
Yes,
sleep.
you do.
As somebody who is a recovering workaholic, I get it.
Yep.
Totally get it. So, Melody, is there any last words that you want to leave with our guest tonight?
Please remember you matter. And if you're suffering, look for what's out there to help you not suffer anymore, because there are ways to see the light. I'm even writing my own, I'm creating an online course to help go in depth about all the things I'm learning that are tools we can use. And I'm still learning them. So I'm still creating it.
That is so awesome. And Melody, tell our guests where they can get in touch with you.
LinkedIn is my favorite place. I'm also on Facebook. I'm on Twitter. But my website is thesocialcommentary.com. And that's where I post my articles. On LinkedIn and Facebook, I use the hashtag Melody's Eyes because it's my view. And I will help one because I want everything I do to at least help one.
Right. I love
That's why
that.
I'm here tonight.
Yep. And hopefully we've reached one or more. I
I would love
have
it.
I believe I put that in the show notes, but I also put it in the comments too, your website. And Melody, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on here.
Thank you.
And yeah, it's I've learned a lot and can definitely identify with a lot. And I just want to thank our listeners for tuning in. We totally appreciate you. And
Thank
come
you
back.
all.
Yes, come back here tomorrow or next Monday night, same time, same channel. And thank you, Emily.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And yeah, it's going to be another exciting episode. I swear, I say each time that the show keeps getting better and better, and it just does. And I just thank my guests for being on here, and thanking the listeners for making the show so incredible, because that's why we're here, to
Yeah.
share our stories. So with that, have an amazing night, everybody.
Bye.
And God bless you all.
Bye.